Hello, welcome to this week's weekly transits, our astrology weather, so to speak. Well, I positioned this for just a little afternoon. I like triple numbers, so I'll show you why this works so well in a little bit. But I like to put the transits near the top just so you can see them better. I just think they're easier to see. Because it's just, I don't know, just in front of you. But I will click ahead and I'll show you something. But what I want to review is what we're looking at is a squashed map of the heavens. We took 3D and made 2D. And remember that this is the horizon line right here going across. This is the horizon. If we were like, we're standing like right here, but way back, we look out and this is the horizon. So what does that mean? That means if that's the horizon, we're looking at the east being over here on the left and the west being over here on the right and the south being on the top and north being on the bottom if you're in the northern hemisphere. So when we see things, we see the sun rise, or any of the planets, rise right here at this like 9 o'clock position, I'm going to call it. And that is, when we look at our natal chart, that is our rising sign, that is our ascendant, but that's also the east. That's the east, that's the sunrise. So when I position these planets, they're around noon, because you can see here the sun is, and I have this set for a little further north, Philadelphia. It's up here close to what we call midheaven area. Well, I'm not going to go into that at the moment, but we'll just say that. So anyway, it's close to noon. Anything up in here, is like you can see, it's like close to noon o'clock. And then the sun comes and sets. When it goes below this line here at like 3 o'clock area, if we were looking at a clock, that sets, or that planet has set. Okay, just to review that, just so you know, I put it up there for a reason so we can see it better. Now, to notice, we still have this tight group and we are almost into our new moon. We can see the sun and the moon together. Whenever the sun and the moon are together, the sun is so bright it blots out. You can't see anything around it. So the moon is all blotted out by the sun and we can't see it. It looks dark. Okay, quickest way I can kind of help you visualize that, because when it's opposite, when the moon is down across from the sun, down here, when we have our full moon, it's in such where the moon is accepting the light of the sun, from our perspective, then we can see the light on the moon, at its time above the horizon, when it's night and what am I saying? It's usually at sunset. When the sun sets, close to that is when the full moon will be rising. So then the full moon will be out like all night. Oh, right. All right, different on the new moon, but we'll do that another time. I just want to give you a little perspective. So when we're looking at this, we see this cluster, we've been seeing this cluster, this wedge, this tight grouping of planets moving. We had the group when they were in, all of that was back a little bit more. It wasn't so tight. I mean, we have Pluto as kind of our breakaway planet, but we have Uranus over there in Taurus and Jupiter in Taurus, and then Neptune in Pisces. So that brings those outer planets kind of within the boundaries or barriers of this tight group, right? And look at Neptune right there at the tipping edge. It's like 29 degrees Pisces, and it's going to get so close. It's like, what, 50 some seconds or minutes did we look one time? It gets really close, and then it goes retrograde. And it's like, nope, whoops, I forgot my coffee. I'm going back. So, but anyway, it's just hanging out at that edgy degree. It wants so much, but it really doesn't. It likes it being here, but at the end of this degree, the degree itself, it's like it wants to go on to the next. It's just the way it is. But anyway, we have this little tight grouping. So there's not a lot of other aspects. There's lots of sextiles, there's a lot of minor aspects, conjunctions and sextiles mainly, You know, the moon breaks away and gives us some other aspects. We do, when planets are moving into Taurus right now, because it's a fixed sign, as soon as they hit 2 degrees, they're going to be making the square to Pluto. So we know that. And everything here except Venus has done that, right? Venus just did, I'm sorry, what am I saying? Mercury. Mercury is going to do that soon. But all these planets have passed that, you know, and they've been at varying stages. Uranus did it a long time ago, you know, because it moves slowly, but, you know, the sun, the moon, Venus are much faster. So anyway, they had to reckon with that square to Pluto there. But other than that, there's no oppositions. There's no trines. So there's no quincunxes. So yeah, is this boring or is it focused? Or both. Okay, so we have this moon now. Okay, so all that buildup. But let's just look at stuff before I move to the moon thing. We have the sun. Let's look at degrees. Always kind of let your mind perk up for degrees. You know, 17, it's like that game Go Fish. You know, you pull over, 17 degrees. Oh, there's another 17 degrees. Saturn, 17 degrees. And then figure out what the aspect is between them. So we see here, it's like a feminine sign. Oh, one apart, it's a sextile. It's another way we can do that. We can go from 17 degrees Pisces to 17 degrees Aries is 30 degrees, and then from 17 Aries to 17 Taurus, another 30 degrees. Just let that sink in. Okay, so a couple ways of just seeing that. So I've been wanting to show you with an easy one. Let's take this one, like here, 21s. How about these? These are like close to 22s. Oh, they're one sign apart, right? Aries to Taurus is 30 degrees, so this is just shy. It's 29 degrees apart from Uranus. So they don't have much in common with that right there. Don't get along. It's like, you know, good fences make good neighbors, so to speak. Okay, all of that is kind of like what the energy that we're feeling. We're not feeling a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of things that are intense, I think, right now. You know, look at all that fixed energy. 4, 5 things, 5 planets. You know, sun, moon, and then we have Uranus we've had there. Jupiter's on its way out, but still in the tail end of Taurus, and Venus just slid into her sign. Ooh, baby. Oh, the house is full of servants for me. So try, it's intense, it's fixed earth, it wants comfort, it wants what it wants security. And now this is our new moon. So this is interesting. We have to put roots down. We have to establish something. We had to spark the interest, the Aries stuff. Now we have to bring it into physical. We have to ground it. But what's really interesting is that, you know, we just had that Jupiter go over Uranus, and that's still in effect. You know, that those degrees are still being hit. And there's that kind of that spark, that stuff, something that happened, some drama ensued. And now, I don't know, it's like the tower in reverse. We're kind of like picking up the mess, picking up the pieces, putting it together. If it was a good revelation, you're having to enact it. If there's something happened, you have to put in order out of chaos or something. So anyway, that's kind of that. Over in Aries, you know, we have the north node of the moon, which isn't a planet, it's just a place in space. And an asteroid. I've been throwing Chiron in there. I don't like to do a whole lot because it's all gobbledygook anyway. And throwing in the outer planets, it kind of gobbledygooks it enough as it is. But transits mark time. And, you know, we're looking at time in a long and short span, you know, short span and the long span, because we're looking at the last time, say, Pluto was there. It's, you know, it was when it was a volatile America as well. I'm just going to say that. So anyway, just kind of markers of time and place, but I kind of like to focus on the inner 7. Nonetheless, I had to set that stage because this intensity, it's intense, you know. And then when planets turn retrograde, you know, they're there for a while before they move. So anything that has gone, you know, gone direct. Mercury was just hanging out at that degrees now. What was it? 20. We're going to go look where it was. Um, it was hanging out there, what, 16 degrees or something like that, and then it turned direct. Actually, let's do that real quick right now, and we're going to see when it moves out of shadow. So let me give you a new screen share, and we'll get back to this. I have to set the stage because this is just intense, and that's what we're dealing with. It's just like intense, stuck, fixed, intense energy. Okay, so Mercury, we're going to move on to Mercury. We can see here, this is the ephemeris for April 2024. And we see that April 1st was like the last day that it was direct at 27 Aries. So it went retrograde, so it looked, you can see the apparent backward motion here to 16 Aries, and then on the 26th of April, it went direct. 15, it just teetered right there, so it started at 16. So yeah, 16, I don't know why that was like that, probably typo. But yeah, 16, yeah, that's weird. Anyway, 16 Aries. Okay, so well, we're gonna go, let's go back to our screen. And we got 16 Aries. Go get our animated page. There we go. Did I get you the right one? Share screen. Make sure that you got the animated. Okay, you should have the animated screen. Hope you do. All right, so Mercury, it went all the way to 27. So when it hits 27, it'll be out of shadow. That's where it was when it went retrograde, and it went all the way back to 16. And that, we can go back. I don't want to do that or mess something up. I want to show you. But when at the very beginning of the month, it said 27 degrees, and then it went retrograde. So when it hits 27, it'll be a new territory. I think I misspoke last time. I think if I didn't say that right, I apologize. But it will be when it's at that degree that it turned around on retrograde. But that is like the last thing here in Aries, really, the last planet. So that one is almost going to go into Taurus, and we'll see if it slips in there before Jupiter slips out. That would give us one more. And then, Mars just went in, two. Mars is in Aries too, so it's in its own sign. We looked at that last week. It's like the lovers are in their own signs. So this is good. But we still have that intensity of Earth. But thank God we have, the Mars is home. So that kind of, I think, keeps the fire burning so it doesn't let the mud get too wet. All that Taurus energy, it's dense. It's down, it lives like down in this area. All right, moving on. Hours. Okay, so let's look when the sun and moon are actually conjunct. And that means that is the exact time of our new moon. Okay, so here we go. Look at there. It's 11:22 p.m. East Coast time, almost midnight, 40 some minutes before midnight. We see that it's perfected, and it's, you can see that if this was noon up here, down here will be about midnight, and you can see this is just a little before, it's going to be different a little bit because of the place in space, if it were Philadelphia as opposed to Alaska or, the equator, it'd be just a hair different. But nonetheless, we can see that it's late, or real early, or real late, almost about to be early. Okay, so that was I thought was cool. But Taurus new moons, right? This is the time of year that we should be, planting seeds, making a garden, making things more solid, making things more sensual, feeling secure, well-rooted, wanting to put down that root or to make sure that you've got the security and attention on that. It's like having more sensual pleasures, appreciating beauty, appreciating the smell of a flower, appreciating somebody being who they are, looking at artwork, with appreciation, having, that good chocolate pie, a good cup of coffee with honey in it, local bees, honey, something that's just really cool. but putting those solid intentions forward. We want more solidity in certain areas. We want more comfort or money or things, or something that we're working on, a project or something we're just inspired to take root. And that's kind of the focus of this moon kicking off this week. I start our week on Tuesday. Okay, a lot. But let's move on, because that's like the gist of the week. Everything else is just a lot of, we just kind of get a lot of moon aspects. And we'll see here now that the moon, moon has moved through, it conjuncted all of those. Let's move, actually, let me get these back up top for you. See, I don't know if maybe it's just me. It just looks easier to see, kind of, when we're just static doing this like this for me. Because we're seeing that the way the planets move. Okay, so we see here moon, it's already, moon is going through Taurus, right? It had just conjuncted the sun, and then it went over Uranus, and then now it's right here conjuncting Jupiter. So all of this is like real quick. A lot of moon energy this week, not a lot of other planets making a lot of other aspects or a lot of sign changes. So a lot of moon or feeling or depth of feeling or security of feeling this week. But then when the moon jumps into Gemini, it might be like, oh, get me out of the mud, man. I've just been battered around with all this stuff, making, intense conjunctions are intense, but the moon enjoys in Taurus, right? The moon, if it's not at its home, it loves to be in Taurus. It is exalted in Taurus. So it's kind of loving on this, but there's still a lot of activity here. So that's making that for us. It's riling us up. It's that emotion, that physical, bringing the physicalness and emotions kind of together, that solidity of that, grounding it. Grounding is a good thing. Hope everybody has a good grounding pad. Go to grounding.com and they have grounding shoes. You stay in touch with Mother Earth. Okay, Thursday. It's a lot more moon aspects. So the moon for Thursday, I think it's kind of it's going to be like a hot thing. It's going to get a good aspect from Mars. We're going to get a sextile to Mars, and then we're going to get a square to Saturn. It's like you're going to do something and get yelled at, kind of. It's like, I'm going to do this anyway. I feel like it, and just like impulsive or something, and then it may not have been the best thing or well thought out. So watch that on Thursday. All right, but moon slides into Gemini, so, it gets a little bit nervous or a little bit erratic or a little communicative or a little busy or doing two things or, a lot of communications. So we start that on Thursday. So Thursday and Friday, we can have a busy moon going through busy, Gemini. Yeah, that's big. All right, so watch that. Again, you get the impulsiveness with its sextile to Mars. It's like you can hear it's just leaving at this time 10. And, we have the masculine. That's what I'm saying. It's impulsive. It might just do something and not think about it, and then have to suffer the consequences later when the moon gets further along at 17 degrees, and then it will make a square over to Saturn. So watch that. If it's not you, watch for somebody else being impulsive and then being negligent. So, okay. Oops, went two. All right. Friday the 10th. Friday. What is the moon coming in the weekend? Moon coming into the weekend, Mother's Day weekend. Well, we're starting Friday night on Gemini moon, and then it will move into Cancer. And then on Mother's Day, how perfect. The moon in Cancer. It's in its own sign. How lovely is that? But we'll get there in a second. Not a lot. What do we got here? Not a lot. It's still the same. I mean, it's not, the moon is just kind of making the aspects. So now we just have a lot of that Gemini moon energy as moon moves toward Cancer, it's home. It's like nothing's in front of me now. Right? All that stuff I talked about at first is still going on. They still got that mob in Taurus, right? We still have the Mars in its own sign. We still have Mercury not quite out of shadow. Did we do one day? Yeah, that's okay, Saturday. So Saturday now, um, still not a lot of stuff going on. We do have a little moon activity early, like early sleeping hours. It's kind of not even worth mentioning, just an inconjunct and then a square to Mars, but it's kind of early. And then even on the on the west coast, it's still kind of early. Maybe early, like UK over in that area, it might be a little bit, gnarly, because we have the moon in conjunct Pluto. When it's first Cancer, it's going to make that quincunx over to Pluto, and then a square over to Mars because it's in, those cardinal signs. So, yeah, a lot of people just sleep through it, but might be a little testy. Let's put it that way, testy. But the next thing is like the moon is going to, when it goes through Cancer, it's got a bunch of the squares happening. So it's going to, well, early, let's go back. It's Saturday late, it's going to square Mars. So this could be, arguments. It could be aggressive feelings. It could be irritating speech. It could be ill feelings or something ill felt. And then it squares over to the North Node, maybe a little adjustment in the course of where you're going. Oh, darn, this road, we got a detour here. Got to go around this crap. And then over to Chiron, any of the wounding kind of issues might come up, and then over to Mercury, and it's going to be like blah, blah, blah. I'm going to talk about my feelings. I'm going to inflect my feelings. I'm going to communicate my feelings. I'm going to communicate about my feelings. I'm going to feel communicative. All of that mix. Coffee. So yeah, that's gonna kind of be the theme there. See, so here we're now into Sunday, about noon, and the moon is now over the Chiron part. It just did the North Node correction, and then we're gonna go into the communicative stuff. Could be a little testy, until we get to Monday. So lots of the moon aspects. That's pretty much it. It's just moon stuff all week for the most part. Again, no planets changing signs or anything. But here on Monday is when the moon, Mercury, finally starts to get out of old territory. So whatever we were doing, like on April 1st, we get to pick that back up again. It's like we had to just take a detour because Mercury went retrograde, and now it's going to be back into new territory. So we get a little bit of that Aries impetuousness, that maybe accelerated brain, accelerated communications, aggressive brain or aggressive communications. However that mix is, try to use it to its highest point. But we got a little bit of that before Mercury then slows down and grounds it and gets into Taurus. So use this time now. We've talked about this before as tying up loose ends before it actually gets out of its where it was. All right. Yeah, it kind of leads into this, and then what else did I want to say? Yeah, then we already talked about it. Then Mercury moves into Taurus, so then it will be chasing after Venus over here, and then it go over Uranus. So Mercury, we can look forward to that. The sun will have moved on, and then it'll, go over, gosh, what's that planet? Jupiter. And then they'll look at here. Then here's what they're like 30 apart. Then what we can look forward to here is Jupiter moving into Gemini. So we'll have a lot of this, and then in like a month from now, let me just do one more thing before we wrap it up for today, because this is kind of I don't want to say a boring week, but it's not a lot, but it's intense. All right, what do I want to do? I want to go month, sorry. Okay, so now look at a difference like a month makes. Look how spread out everything. We got the moon, of course, but look at now we've got this breakaway. All of this energy all of a sudden changed into Gemini. So I think like within a month, things are going to be hugely different. I mean, we've got, the sun and Mercury move close, and Venus, like they have kind of the entourage, but it's changed. And then now with Jupiter changed. Let's go just a couple days back and see it when they change together. We need to look at things, and then we need to look at, what's coming ahead. All right, so let's see. when Jupiter, look at the number 4 up here. We're going to go back and let's see when it actually goes into Gemini. Boop, right there. May 29th. Maybe even the 28th. Yep, my grandma's birthday. Oh, it's still a little bit, okay, a little bit more. Just depends on the degree. All right, so 26. Okay, so it's 0 and then it's like close to 10 there. All right, so the end of the month, the Sun and Venus would have already moved into there, right? They go first. Look at, they're going to kind of be marching in there together. And then look at this group. Look at this. We got this conjunction. They're all like holding hands, you know, they're like promenading into this whole new area. So we're going to go from this kind of stuck or secure or, you know, this fixed earth energy, this solidity into we are out of here. Bye. I want to fly. So it's going to be a big change, right? You know, starting, let's just go back a little more. Let's see when, you know, okay, Venus is still there. Venus is the 24th, you know, and then a few days earlier than that, then the Sun, you know, the Sun was, what is it, the 20th. Okay, so that starts to be the foreshadowing, the flavor change, you know, on the 20th, May 20th. And then we had 24th, and then what was it, 28th, 28th, 26th, 26th. Okay, so it's a bunch marching in. So here we have this little tail end here. Let's go back one more day. Okay, so we do get Mercury in here. The moon moved, of course, but we still have, you know, until May 19th, this heavy Taurus energy. Look at that. You know, once Mercury hits that in there, again, we get that communication. So really make the intentions on this new moon, give it its justice due of this, you know, solid, fixed earth, feminine energy. This is the time of year that can be embraced. All right, not, again, varied, but busy nonetheless. Until we meet again, see you all next time. Bye for now.